All right, we got Martin here from Less Than Expected. What's going on today, man?
Tell me, man. Just drove like an hour to get down here.
What was it? An easy drive? Just a straight shot?
Yeah. Well, I had to come from Ashtabula by way of Geneva because I had to go drop my daughter off. But yeah.
You took the scenic route.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had some champion on that.
Yeah.
Full on. Yeah. For a little while there, we were convinced we were pulling into like a cannibal's house. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we're definitely out here now.
So, how long you guys been together as a band?
So it's a little bit of a tricky question. Rewind. The band officially started. It was just me, and the Less Than Expected thing was this thing I did in high school. And the joke that I started doing was Martin Dunn is Less Than Expected, and I was just going around doing these acoustic gigs, you know, like acoustic punk or whatever. And a long story short on that one, to just skip any kind of drama with that, some guys hit me up and they were like, some friends, and they were another band, and the band had broken up. And they had asked, hey, you got that solo deal you were doing? Because I was in the band Komodo Bombs with my wife and my friend Dustin, who plays bass for me now and Less Than Expected. And his wife was drummer. And so Komodo Bombs was on hiatus. And so we were like, I was just doing this to get, scratch the itch. And those guys all came out and we did a handful of rehearsals and booked a bunch of shows and we're getting stuff moving. And then they bailed on me at the last minute, like no notice or anything. They just bailed and went back to the band that they had broken up with.
Oh, shit.
And so it kind of left me out in the cold. So my buddy Dustin, or Dirt as he goes by in the band, sorry, him and his wife came in and they saved me. And actually we played the first full band gig here in Youngstown at I forget the name of the place, to be honest. It was
West Side Bull?
No, West Side Bull's awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
this year, but
I like
I fucking forget what the name of it is.
Cedars?
No.
Susie's? Chippers?
We played Chippers, but it wasn't Chippers. It was something else. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure.
I'm just trying to name off all the venues in town.
You could Google it.
Giving them all
plugs or
plugs.
something. Yeah, we played that place with Stereotype Eye and Three Vultures.
Oh, okay. Those are my boys.
So we played with those guys, and then after that, Dustin decided to stick around, and we started working on translating like all of the songs over to like a full band setting. And then we had a few different friends come in and play drums for us over that time, like fill in. One being Tommy Lipo from the band Mallory Run, out of Erie, and then Kenny Sutton, who plays in the band Slaughter the Meridian, also out of Erie.
Yeah.
And then Justin Thompson joined the band in June, I think. And he drummed with us all the way up until December. And then, life got in the way and he had to drop out. So then our buddy Chris jumped in and helped us finish up the record. And he's listed as a drummer on the record. We are currently not having a drummer because he had to go back to school. So he was in college. So if you know any drummers, we're looking for a drummer. So basically the band's been together, I guess, for like a year now. But I've been doing the solo thing with it for a couple of years just for fun.
Yeah.
But before that, with Komodo Bombs, me and Dustin, we started that band back in 2017.
Okay.
So it was a few years.
You're originally from Florida, the Tampa area?
Yeah.
Correct? Okay. How long have you been in Ohio?
So I moved up here in January of 2018.
Okay. What brought you to Ohio?
I inherited my grandpa's house.
Okay.
So it's basically it.
So your family's originally from Ohio?
My dad's side of the family are all from like Ashtabula, Conneaut area.
Yeah.
And so I inherited his house. Florida's fucking expensive.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was one of those things that I worked from home anyway. So it was like I'll just move up there and move the wife and the kids up here, and we started move up here. And then funny enough, my buddy Dustin, his wife moved up to Akron couple months later, so our band never really had to take a break.
Okay.
And
So
Komodo
he's
Moms-
originally from down there too.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then Adam, our manager, is also from there. We grew up together, and he just was driving through, and I was like, "If you want to stay, stay." And he's like, "I kind of like it up here. Yeah, I'll stay." So now he's managing us. So yeah, I mean,
Was it a big culture shock making that change, or had you been here before?
it's a culture. Well, I've been here a million times in summers and stuff. It's a culture shock in a different way, I think, than people most might expect. People are a lot more pleasant up here.
Really?
They are. Y'all,
I guess
Y'all's-
coming from
you
a
know
bigger
what?
city in Florida.
y'all's drama up here, like the band, like this music scene drama,
Yeah.
is more comical than a
Oh
normal.
God,
Yeah.
yes.
It's funny as hell
Yeah.
to me. I laugh
Yeah.
so hard at some of these Facebook rants and stuff, and I'm like, you guys are hilarious. Like,
it is.
this is fucking hilarious. This
Yeah.
isn't like some of the drama. The Florida scene's got some weird dramas, but yeah, it's just. I guess maybe it's that too. It's a smaller area. There's not as much stuff, but you guys just the culture is very different here in totally different ways. People in Florida are rude. It's just like naturally it feels like they're rude.
Especially in the bigger cities where you're from. Like, I lived in Orlando, and
Yeah, I
It's
feel like it's just
ridiculously
people are
rude
very
there.
are more rude, and I've also ran into the issues. I guess it's one of those things of like so. Where I was living before I moved out of Florida was right outside Tampa, a place called Brooksville.
yeah,
And Brooksville is like the 6th most racist place in America, apparently.
Yeah.
So nothing like living like like a block away from like a KKK charter.
yeah.
That was fun. So yeah, getting my kids out of that environment was a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a different experience. I think I like the scene up here a lot more overall. I think that the scene is a lot more supportive. I mean, there is, everyone has like some black sheeps. There's a few,
Yeah.
but I've noticed that I find that like the scene up here has been a lot more supportive. I mean, give and take a little bit.
Even when you have the drama, there still is a lot of camaraderie in the scenes around here.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
you've got Youngstown, Akron, Cleveland, all in close proximity. Even Pittsburgh's not that far. And,
yeah. And Erie. I
yeah.
think Erie gets left out way too much. They got a great scene.
Oh,
over there,
Erie
too.
does, yeah.
And I think that
I even forget about Erie a lot, too.
I think that the reality of it is everyone who creates art are going to have egos.
Oh.
So you're going to deal with divas. You're going to deal with people who are too caught up in their own bullshit to realize how ridiculous they sound sometimes. But then at the same time, you deal with the fact that like you're going to have out of that crew of people, you're always going to have some that are really cool, and we've had some good luck with that. I think. I mean, there's only been a few people that we've encountered that we've been like,
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say realistically, compared to like what we saw in Florida, is a way more less cliquey.
Yeah.
Because like Florida is like if you're in a punk band, then everyone just you can only play the punk bands. You can't
Yeah.
play, which is kind of boring. I mean,
Yeah, I hate
the
that.
same old thing. But
Yeah.
with us, we're definitely like I'm really proud of this band and this music we're making right now because I've noticed that we are very crossover. Like we're getting a lot of love from multiple angles when it comes to like genre-based music, which for us we've always just been like we're a rock band or a hard rock band, and but like the punk kids love us, the metalheads seem to love us, a lot of the alt rock kids seem to like us a lot. So
Yeah.
we've kind of blended in very well, and like we've built a pretty decent following, I think. Like, I mean, you've done your research, I guess. So
Yeah.
you tell me. I guess we're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of genres. I like music that transcends genres. Every band that I played in back in the day, we tried to cover as much as we could. And I like that about you guys. Like, you say you're punk band, I really couldn't label your music. I mean, it's got a bit of a punk vibe. But, if I was promoting a show, I could put you guys on with some grunge bands. I could put you guys on with punk, metal, whatever,
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, we really don't. It's funny. We adopted the thing. A guy from around here. His name's Jared. Is another podcast. Are you familiar?
Oh, yeah, Jared Rogers.
Yeah. He we played a show at Chippers, and it started this thing. It was unintentional how this started, but now it's become a thing. It was the show was a shit show. It was falling apart all around us. It somehow, when things started moving, everything clicked together. It was just a lot of issues. Like the sound guy was late, and then he showed up drunk, and then he didn't want to. And it was like all this other stuff. And then like one of the bands dropped out, and then there was a touring band, and it was a lot of nonsense. And at some point, and there's video of this, I get super fucking annoyed at the sound guy for fucking with my microphone again, and I take my guitar off and I throw it. Like, just fucking throw it.
See, that's fucking punk as hell.
And the crowd went fucking nuts for it. And so then, after that, our bassist at one point, we were playing at Vortex in Akron, and Dirt was like...
Is that a Mike Wendell show?
I don't know who. I think it was Jesse Calhoun.
Okay.
I think he put that one on.
Dude from Stereotype Eye.
Yeah. And so we, at the end of our set, I smashed a guitar, and he took his bass off and threw it in the crowd.
Nice.
And they destroyed the bass. And so then we started getting this expectation that we're always smashing our gear, and we've kind of done that. Most of our shows, we've been smashing gear all up, which, by the way, Jesse from Stereotype High fucking hates it. He won't watch our end of our sets anymore because he knows it's coming.
Yeah.
And so what we did, we just played Basement Transmissions in December, and what we did was at the end of the show, as we're building up to the finale, the crowd is like, we always play Superfuzz Big Muff as our closer, and at the end of it, that's when we start smashing shit. And the inside joke in the band is the solo of that song is, and into the ending of the song is basically Schrodinger's song.
Okay.
You don't know if it's going to be an ending or not.
Yeah.
It's just, we might end the song, we might destroy our gear, and you don't hear the end of the song. And so the funny part was all the crowd is like, they know it's coming, and they're like super excited, and we knew it was coming because like 6 people asked me that night. So we all got with Chris, the guy who was drumming for us, and we're like, I got an idea. When we go to smash stuff, Chris is going to jump up and go, guys, you're ruining Christmas. And we're going to set our guitars down really, really nicely, and we're going to sing Silent Night. And we did that instead. And Chris goes after the fact, like the crowd's booing him and like everything, and he's like, I've now know what it feels like to blue ball an entire audience of people.
Yep.
Like a whole room of people have now been blue balled. But yeah, like we played Grog Shop in November, and a couple of the bands there were shocked because like I took whatever guitar I'm using at the end of the set usually gets thrown or smashed or something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of guitars, and people are like, it's so expensive, it drives me crazy, but I also know how to fix guitars.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like our little secret that I just like, well, I mean, I can fix it. I mean, sometimes.
Yeah.
Some guitars, West Side Bowl, the guitar is smashed there. That guitar is never getting fixed. That thing exploded into 1,000 pieces.
A few years ago, when I was the promoter at Chippers for a while, I had this cool idea to get 4 original bands together, and each one would cover a different grunge band for the night.
Right.
And I had 3 vultures doing Nirvana, had them closing out the night. And Dustin brought this old junk guitar that he had at home, and we were doing sound check before their set, and the guitar wasn't working. His plan was to smash it at the end of the set. You know, his guitar wasn't working, so he ended up having to borrow a guitar from one of the guys in Highland Rose, and he was just going to put that guitar down off to the side towards the end of the song, and then grab the junk one and smash it. So he does that. He goes and picks up the junk guitar, pulls it back to go and smash, and the whole crowd, the place was packed. The whole crowd just steps back, and the guitar just goes flying all over the bar, man.
Yeah, we the one at West Side Bowl. There's a good video of it online. I actually did not expect it to break as bad, like as exploded.
Yeah,
I hit 3. I think I had that 3 swings on it overhead, and that third one, the whole body just everywhere.
Yeah. The one Dustin had, it was already falling apart. The neck was like coming off it, so it just.
Oh yeah, this was an actual
everywhere.
Strat. I actually made it look like the Kurt Cobain band was a Strat for that show. It was a Halloween show, and they had us do a Nirvana set.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And so we threw all our shit all over the place. Our drummer, Justin, was our drummer at the time. He flips his drum kit all over and like kicks it off the stage. But yeah. So the Grog Shop though, like I literally took this Telecaster that everyone the night, like all night, other musicians like, Telly's fucking badass. And dude, I took the Telecaster off, and our buddy Sean from SMD Photography, he got the best photo ever. It's me throwing the guitar
That dude's a
like
killer
this.
photographer.
And if you see the photo, I know he's got it out there. I told him, I'm like, dude, you can make a print of that and sell it. I don't know.
yeah.
It's literally perfect. It looks like I'm throwing the guitar at him.
Yeah.
And he's got like perfect. The guitar is like leaving my hand. It's got one hand and it's like flying towards him.
Nice.
And it's just like this perfect angle. And I was like, that is awesome. But I remember after that, I was like, you threw that guitar. And the funny part was, I was more angry that I broke my cable. So like rattlesnake cable. And I was like, what the? And everyone was like, you're more angry about a cable than the guitar. And I'm like, the guitar? That cable's expensive. Like, look at your Fender. I'm like, But I think I must have like 30 guitars probably.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a lot of guitars.
Yeah.
What do you do? Just like pick up junk guitars and fix them up?
No, I just have a lot of nice guitars that I end up breaking.
It's all that cartoonist money you're making.
The guitar, I guess. The guitar that I threw at Chippers was a '65 Mustang. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So to me, it's sort of like in the moment. I don't do it on purpose. That's the one thing I put out there right now. Is everyone like, we don't actually plan to smash anything. I just it's you get into it and it happens. So
the punk rock Holy Ghost takes a hold of it.
I guess, man. I guess that's what it is. But it's I think part of it is for me and Dirt, we're both performers at heart. We both did pro wrestling for many years.
Okay.
And so you kind of have that element of like a performance and larger than life performance, and you want to like put it all out there. And so when the music's going and everything's booming and you're just really into it, the crowd's going crazy and fucking mosh pit, you want to do something.
Yeah.
And I guess sometimes the first thing you think to do is to throw something or kick something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we've gone through a lot of instruments like guitars and basses now. He snapped the neck off his bass at the West Side Bowl show. Completely snapped the headstock right off. But yeah, and I mean, I guess that's like a big thing. People are always asking about the smashing. But yeah, for that one, we were very conscious about it. The basement transmissions not to smash. We're like, we're not going to do it this time. Because everyone's expecting it, and we're less than expected. So.
Well, I noticed you brought a guitar with you today. You're not planning on smashing it, are you?
No, not that one.
I'm about to say, I'm going to move.
You're going to stand outside while you perform.
That one is that's a vintage Martin guitar. I wouldn't smash that. That would be
okay.
That would be sacrilege, man.
Why don't you play something for us real quick?
All right. Let's see what we can do here.
Well, what's the song you're going to be playing? Is it on the CD?
I could do one off the CD. I just
Hey, whatever you want to play, as long as it's not a cover.
Let me think.
I don't want to give ASCAP any more money than I need to.
I didn't think about what I should play. Let me see the CD. Let me see. I'll look and see what I got. I'll do Short Term. That was our first single.
All right, let's do that.
So, all right. Let's see how it sounds without the bass. Look into the mirror, I can't see the sin. Where's my imagination and when they begin? Proving that I apologize for what I feel within. I just can't face the lies I tell myself again. Falling up the thoughts of dark and I can feel my head spin. Been safe to right now, this the answer of your question. Time and space and that's my curse. I need an alarm clock. One more thing before I stop. I forgot my thought.
like real punk too, man. That's
Yeah.
not like this watered down shit that they call punk now.
I mean,
it's real punk, but on an acoustic guitar.
yeah, well, yeah, it's real punk.
Those can.
I mean, for
What
me,
do you think of some of that watered down commercial punk, like 5 Seconds of Summer and
that's
shit
not
like
punk
that?
rock, dude.
They're calling it punk, though.
That's not
Like,
punk.
what the fuck?
I don't give a fuck what they call that. That's not punk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what I've been saying, man.
It's commercialized. I mean, everything's commercialized.
It's just straight up pop music, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like One Direction with guitars.
I've always been kind of weird about this, and in that punk is a mentality, and I guess it could be punk if that's how they want to look at it. If you're looking at the genre of music and the sound and things like that as a definition, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of stuff is, what's the word? It's manufactured stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's no heart in it. Like, to me, punk is a mentality of like freedom and expression and ideas, and that's why it's sort of. I've always had a conflict about that. It's very funny you say that because I could probably do another song for you, literally called "Is This Punk?" that we're put on our next record which is funny because we just released that one in December, but we're already working on our next record.
That's another great thing about punk too. Like, you know, a lot of bands they wait such a long time in between albums. They want it to be polished and perfect. Punk, like, they're constantly writing new shit and they're just putting out whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I think
they put out records more often, you know.
I think we're a little bit more like in the mentality of punk. Like, that record took forever for us to make it feel like we started working on it last year around this time. It was just me, and then like I said, we transferred everything over into a full band setting around March. But we missed like 2 different release dates we had planned on because we wanted it to be right. I wanted to be, because the Komodo Bombs, we put an EP out with Komodo Bombs, and I never was 100% happy with it.
Yeah.
The guy who did the producing was a nice guy. He was a cool guy, but he made it sound really polished and really clean and it wasn't really the sound I wanted to go for. And so that record sounded like a pop punk kind of thing, and that really wasn't what we were going for. With this one, we had a general idea of what we wanted. We went in with them I had a lot of notes of what I wanted, a lot of sound I wanted, and I think that Mike Gunter, who came in and helped us with the mix and everything, he definitely captured that. Because what we were looking for with this record was, Albini, really. Steve Albini's kind of work that he had done with, like, In Utero with Nirvana.
Yeah.
Things like that. Some of the Jack and Dino stuff with, like, some of the more punk bands and stuff, Melvins, and some of that kind of thing, too. And that's kind of where the sludge punk thing came from, that we've kind of embraced is that we're sludge punk. And that all came from just us being a little bit more grungy with our punk, if you will.
Yeah.
I guess we're also a little more conscious. A lot of punk songs are kind of goofy, I guess. Depending on what you were listening to, but we put a lot more, I put a lot more emphasis on the lyrics, I think. Musically, I'll give Dirt all the credit in the fact that I write, lyrics and melodies and ideas, and then he takes stuff and then he just turns it into these, insane things. Title track is nothing like what I originally presented, it's cool. It's one of those things of, with us, I think that's where the compliment comes from. And I think that it says such a vast variety of music, an interest, what's the word? Inspiration. That with the two of us, when we write together, that it kind of comes out in these really cool ways. And obviously it's working. We stand out. That's the thing I think I like about our music the most is we stand out. We don't sound like everybody else.
Yeah. That's always good, though. You don't want to sound like everyone else.
Well, and I think that's something that this scene misses. I think that's the point a lot of people miss in this area.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, now you have a lot more genres out there, but it seems like these young kids want to be labeled. They want to be they want to fit into some sort of genre.
I think they care too much about shit like that, but I also think that's not just young kids. I see it with a lot of people. I feel like this scene, I think the biggest thing this scene suffers from is an oversaturation of metalcore.
Oh, God, yeah.
I feel like every band around here is trying to be a metalcore band or something, and it's always the same stuff, and I mean, I'm not shitting on anyone's art, but it's just like it doesn't feel. None of it feels natural to me. Like it all feels forced. And then the other factor is if I play, we play a show with some bands, and you'll be like, if I can't distinguish who's on stage by ear, there's a problem. And I've had that where I've been like talking to somebody and I'm like, damn, like this band has been on forever, and they're like, oh, it's a new band. And I'm like, really? Like,
doesn't sound like it.
Sounds just like the last band.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that's distinguished us quite a bit. We played a show at the Grog Shop in Cleveland in November, and the lineup on that show was spectacular. And what was cool was every band sounded different. It was so neat, like just such a cool experience. And Jay from GTS that put that show on, he's really good at that, like putting together these like shows you would not expect to mesh well in the crowd. And there was like 250 people there, and the crowd loved it, and like every band was vastly different from the last. It was cool, you know. You had
That's how I try to book my shows.
Yeah, you had like a blues rock band, and you had like this band that was like almost like a spin on like a modern day like the Talking Heads or something, and they're called Elephant in the Room. They're really good. And then there was Fiddle Revolt, which is like this punk rock band, but like they're like, you know, like almost like country punk or whatever, with like fiddles and stuff like that. And then you had like Drawn of Flies, which is like more of like this like noisy alt rock kind of like mid '90s, almost post grunge kind of feel. Full Flavor was like I said, I remember all the bands. Everyone was so fucking good, and so like that's always the stuff I look for. I mean, in my opinion, some of the best bands around here are bands that are standing out. The Avondales from Ashtabula.
Oh, I love those guys.
Those guys are probably the best live band in this area, bar none. I can't even tell you, like, every show I've ever fucking played with those guys or been to with those guys, the audience is alive, like 100% alive. Drawn of Flies, another band, is fucking fantastic. The Trades, Drunk Buseys, it sucks because they broke up with the Southside Fire Boys. We played the last show that they did.
I like those guys. I booked them for a show before I left for Florida.
Yeah, those guys are great too. And Joe booked us on a show down there. Their last show, the matinee in Akron, back in October, and on my birthday actually, yeah. And we had a fucking blast. Those guys. It was sad, they're done, but that was a great show. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fucking great bands around here, and then I hear a lot of bands that sound exactly the same. Yeah. And that's why, like, us and Three Vultures, we want to do a show together because we think we'll complement each other pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good band. Good dudes, too.
So what do you do when you're playing a show and you get these bands that just sound, like, totally off? Do you give them advice, or is that something, like, as an artist, you guys just don't do, you just kind of let them go? Like, how does that work?
I think we just kind of keep it ourselves.
You do?
You kind of have to unless they ask. If they ask for like an honest opinion, then you say, well, yeah.
I usually tell people when they want honest opinions, are they sure? Because I have no filter, and I will brutally rip somebody. I have to be careful.
I'm the same way. I used to be a music journalist, so they would ask my opinion.
Years in comics has conditioned me to be careful what I say, so I try to watch what I say now. Yeah. Even now, I'm trying to be like, I'm going to walk on eggshells around certain topics because I do feel like there are, criticisms are always going to be prevalent.
Yeah.
So, people don't want, I guess, unsolicited critiques anymore. Like, it's not a thing.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, if they ask and they want you to be honest, a lot of the guys that I came up with musically are still playing around here, and they'll ask for my honest opinion on shit, and I give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like music it's such a personal piece of art that people forget that it is that. Yeah. And I mean that in the sense of the people making it.
Yeah. Somebody puts their heart and soul into something. They don't want some random person that they don't really know come up and say, "No, dude, that was terrible."
But at the same time, I feel like some people. I feel like there's a lot of posers.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah.
And I mean that
every scene's got that.
But I mean, and I say posers. I don't mean like, oh, he's a fake person. I mean in the sense like these people are making music for the wrong fucking reasons. Yeah. Like that record is the most personal piece of art I've ever put together in my life. I mean, if you open the inside sleeve of that CD, the first thing you're going to see is the suicide hotline. There's I poured my brain into it basically, and the whole concept of it, like this machine kills scenes. It's got multiple meanings you could use, but I was telling someone recently, and they were like blown away by it. Like, dude, I never thought about that. That's so smart. It makes sense. And it was the machine was the brain, and the scene was the body. Like, talking about suicide, drugs, and I touch on a lot of that stuff because I've dealt with that my whole life. I suffer from bipolar, ADHD, clinical anxiety. I'm a mess. And I put all of that into the music for this record.
Do you think that there's any sort of cure for depression?
I mean, I guess like short terms, yeah, but not like. I mean, it's kind of a disease you're stuck with.
I mean, do you think that someone could, deal with depression but figure out a way to get out of it? Or do you think it's something that you always carry around?
That's definitely something you carry around. I mean, for me, like, depression, because I'm bipolar, depression is a wave thing for me.
It comes and goes.
I've had situations where it's come and I've been depressed for 7 months straight. And it's crippling depression, and people don't understand that. You get it. You kind of get used to it. Everyone becomes adaptable to something.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of walk around and you put a fake smile on and you pretend everything's okay. And that's, I've got a song called Deadly Combination. It's literally all about that's on the record. Keep the facade going. It's better if they're not known. You just can't afford to get fucking fired. Like, it's one of those situations where, for me, mental illness it's nice that it's something that's not so, we used to not be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
People were just, like...
People are so much more open about it nowadays, yeah.
And,
do you think that saves lives, though, being more open about it?
I think it does. I think it's a lot. I think that if people were more open about it, there wouldn't be as many people who have fallen victim to that, disease, if you will. Like, I mean, to me, like, I feel like you can't let it become you.
Yeah.
Some people let things. What's the word I want to use?
Define.
Yeah,
define. You try to define you. You don't want. You don't want to be known as the depressed person or the guy that flips out over something stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean,
or the guy who's trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
Well, I knew a guy. You know where I'm going with this, Adam? I knew a guy in comics that had an aneurysm, and it was all he talked about. It was everything. It was all over everything. He put on his business cards, aneurysm survivor, and it was the most pretentious thing, because while I get it, it's a big thing, and he walked away from that. That's cool, and whatever. And he picked his life back up, and if he had done something more with it in the sense of like, hey, I'm this, that, or the other, and it doesn't. But he let it define who he was. And I know plenty of people. I know guys that are addicts and guys that are, I grew up with that their whole definition of life is where they're going to get their next hit, their next pill, their next whatever. And it's people that define them. You can't allow those things to define you. To me, I've always been one of those people that are a get up and go and do it. My whole life, if you will, in 2009, real brief kind of thing is, in 2009, I had nothing going for me at all. I had no job, I hadn't broken into comics or anything like that. I was married to a horrible person who basically I had 4 kids with, and it was just a lot of drama all the time, things like that, and we broke up, and I remember a friend of mine or somebody had told me about Kevin Smith's stand-up special or whatever, and I watched it, and he had this thing in there where he talked about his dad dying, and he was saying that you never know when you're going to go, so get out and fucking do it, why not? And the whole thing was, it takes nothing to inspire an artist, to encourage an artist, so find people around and surround yourself with why not people, because if you throw a rock, you're going to hit somebody who's going to say why. Why do you want to make a movie? Why do you want to make a comic book? Why do you want to do a podcast? Why do you want to be in a band? Why? It's not normal. Why would you want to do that? That's dumb. Like, you just go and get a job and work and be normal. And it really clicked for me at that point. And, that saying has become sort of my catchphrase. And I do it with my kids. I encourage all my daughter, my youngest daughter, is a award-winning writer. She's been on like 100 different radio, TV show, and podcast things. She got, sold thousands of copies of her book on Amazon and got an Amazon award, a Comixology award, and all this other stuff. And her book was carried in the American Humane Society, and she was 7.
Shit.
She ran a Kickstarter, got like $5,000 for it. So that's my youngest daughter. My daughter Brooklyn has a band of her own. They're actually going to be playing their first show opening for us on the 25th at B-Side in Ashtabula. We're doing an unplugged concert, and her band's going to play. And then my youngest daughter also is going to be playing a song or two that she wrote under her little stage name, Ghost Boy is what she calls it. And she does like ukulele and stuff. But and then also A.M. Gunter is going to be there performing. But I've always encouraged people. I've always felt like that was something that, people should hear that. Because I didn't hear that growing up. I never got the reassurance that anyone could do anything.
Neither did I. Like when growing up, I'd tell my parents, I want to do music. Why the fuck would you want to do that?
Right,
You're never going to get anywhere. So I decided to go out and get somewhere. And then it was like, I'm gonna star in this movie. Well, no, you're not going to do that. And then I went out and did it. I'm going to write a book. Okay, you're not going to do it. So with my own kids, I try to be encouraging as well. Like whatever you want to do, put your mind to it and do it.
It's the most frustrating thing for me because I have a 16-year-old son, and the joke of it is because I grew up a punk rocker, and so how do you rebel against a dad that was a punk rocker? And so the joke is always like, oh, he must do like, listen to everything that everyone says at school, and he must listen to like pop music and wear suits and is straight up a yuppie about it or whatever. And instead, he found an even more...
Don't show family ties.
Yeah, he found an even more punk rock way of rebelling by... He doesn't do anything at all. And that fucking drives me insane, because I'm a very,
How do you be more punk than punk?
No, like...
You slacker.
Like, literally, like, it's even beyond that, because for me, like, I'm just such a, ambitious person. And... all my daughters are super ambitious, but my oldest firstborn child and my only boy has no fucking interest outside of like food and like girls and video games. That's it. And then I'm like, the music he listens to, it hurts me to my soul because it's like in Machine Gun Kelly and stuff, and I'm like, dude, what the. Like, how do you grow up in this house and he likes some hip hop that I like, but for the most part, he's really...
I can't say anything because I do like Machine Gun Kelly.
And
I've worked with him. So,
not a fan of his music. I like him as an actor. He's a good actor.
He's a good dude, though, too.
But regardless, he's out there doing it, and that's why I said, that's why it's hard for me to criticize people when it comes to that.
Yeah.
If they're out there doing it. My problem are usually people who complain that they're not making money doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I hate that.
If you didn't worry so much about what you were writing to make money instead of... Like, I'll put it this way. We play with a band. I won't say any names, but if you did the homework, you'd figure out who it was. We play with this band, and everything about them annoyed me to the level of... We showed up, and we were very much part of that punk mentality of a scene where you stay in the front, you support every band on stage, you give them love. They hid in the green room the whole time. They didn't support any of the bands. They left right after their set. But during their set, they were so bland. And they sounded great, though. They're great musicians, but they didn't have what they think they have. They sounded like a watered-down 3 Days Grace or something, which is saying something, because that's 3 Days Grace we're talking about, which is already pretty damn watered down. So,
I think I know the band you're talking about.
I'm not going to say names.
Yeah.
So anyway, these guys are playing, and my daughter is sitting on like this chair, and I look over. My daughter is a mosh pit fiend. She does punk shows. She's 14. It's all this thing, and I'm friends with all these really big bands, so we always get backstage and stuff. So she's always like in there, and so I look over and she's asleep. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, they're still playing. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, it's like the longest song ever. I'm like, and that's a different song. And she goes, oh my God. And so, like, they just, and I like I said, I mean, if they're doing their thing and it's whatever, that's fine. But I find that that's something that people, like, they lack that in a lot of music these days. I don't hear any emotion, and that's something that really affects me, like on a personal level, where like I get, I don't know, I feel surreal, like, you know, going back to playing the rock shop. A lot of the bands that play there, that when we got off the stage, people were like, "Holy fuck!" Like, that was so raw and real, and it hits me really hard because it's so me. I'm putting myself on display for everybody.
Yeah. And
to know that I know I'm not the best singer in the world, but I know that I'm still, like, you can feel what I'm saying. Like, it's the emotion's there. But some of our favorite singers growing up weren't very good singers. They were just able to convey that emotion well enough that it connects with you. And you're like, fuck it, I don't care if they're not the best, you know, vocalist. They still have it. They're still able to do it.
Kurt Cobain was a terrible vocalist.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's still a generational icon.
Well, I mean, and it's the thing is, like, if you listen to Lane Staley's the same way. Lane Staley really, like, everyone thinks because he hung out notes and did stuff like that, but really those guys, Kurt Cobain and Staley, are great examples of people who put themselves into the lyrics.
Yeah, it actually makes me cringe when people talk about Lane Staley being a great vocalist. Like, but he was great at conveying emotion, but he wasn't a good singer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, I find that with a lot of bands, and people don't get that. I mean, if you start breaking down what makes a good singer, then you're getting into, like, the category of, like, Frank Sinatra was a good singer.
Elvis.
You know.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. I mean, people like that. You know, Chris Cornell was a good singer.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's more about what you're hearing in the music. And it's why I think bands don't get it. They're too concerned with, I need this on the radio. Yep. Funny fucking thing, man. The last song that got put on that record is Faux CD. Me and Dustin wrote that song as a filler because we were like, hey, I mean, not a filler song necessarily. I had lyrics, it was a good idea, but we didn't put it on the record originally. And so we sat down and wrote out everything and recorded it over a weekend so that we could have it, because we had dropped another song off the record we just felt we needed something a little more up-tempo.
Yeah.
And now it's getting radio play, and it just makes me laugh because it wasn't the song that we put out for a single or anything. Short Term was the song put out for a single. But Faux CD is the song that's getting radio play all over the place now. Which is funny to us. Like, we're just like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and then the record on streaming service has been growing the rip. It's like over 10,000 plays on Spotify, and, you know, not too far behind on, like, Apple and all other places. So we're seeing a lot of growth, and I feel like a lot of it comes back to a couple things. And one of them I really do feel like it is that we're very genuine, and we don't wear egos. Like, we just don't do that. We don't put it out there. Me talking to you is probably the most anyone in the scene will have ever heard my opinions of the scene, because usually I'm just very encouraging and, like, you know, good. And even if my thing is, I told my daughter this last night. My daughter has been nervous about this show, and she says she doesn't want to disappoint me. And I go, you know, the only thing you gotta do is go there and try. I don't give, like, I'm not gonna be disappointed at all. You can go up there and you could bomb, and it could sound horrible, and you could, you know, whatever. But as long as you stick through your set, make it to the end, and walk off there with your head up, I'm like, I don't care how bad it may have sounded. I'm like, it's your first show, you're 14.
Yeah.
You know, like, to me, it's all about just trying, just doing it. It's funny, you want me to do another song? Because I have a song about the why not thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's called View Askew, actually. I was just thinking about it. I could do it. Let's see if I can. Alright, so. I haven't played it on acoustic in a while. Alright, here we go. Alright. Sometimes your life never feels right. Yeah, is there anybody there? Passion is fleeting for a guy like me. Honey, please, heard it all before. Everything's a bore when you have ADD. Wanna be everything I dream. Dreaming's not a problem, cause I never sleep. Come on, baby, let's go for a ride. No effects of wearing, we can ride all night. The landscape, it changes, places and faces. I won't go back to living that life. Gonna keep on loving this twilight life. The landscape, it changes, places and faces. I won't go back to living that life. Gonna keep on loving this twilight life. I won't go back to loving that life. Gonna keep on living this twilight life.
All right. Good.
See, there's punky punk.
Are you heavily influenced by Fat Mike? I hear a little bit of Fat Mike in your vocals.
It's a really weird thing to say because I'm friends with Mike.
Yeah?
Yeah, so it'd be a lie not to say NoFX is an influence. I'd say my biggest influences in music overall are probably, Nirvana, NoFX, Dinosaur Jr.
I love Dinosaur Jr. I feel like they don't get enough credit.
Oh, they should get way more credit than they do. There's a bunch, like Fu Manchu's a big influence. But, yeah, The Descendants, I can't, I'm going to see her forever if I start doing this. But, yeah, there's definitely some...
I definitely hear some Descendants in the guitar playing. There's a little bit of that surf punk going on. In
Yeah,
there.
It depends on the songs, too. A lot of the songs... So... We kind of write for a record, if that makes sense. We have concept ideas, and we're like, all right, we're going to make everything fit into this. So the next, we have an EP we're going to do, but we're doing another full length after that. And the full length after that, we've already planned, is going to be built around punk music, really.
Yeah.
It's going to be more punk than the record here, which is a little bit heavier, a little bit more... we've been comparing a lot of stoner rock with it, which is kind of comical to us, but, there's too many fucking genres. It's just, to us, it's just rock music. But yeah, NoFX is definitely an influence there.
Yeah.
That song especially is a very, mid-90s pop punky, melodic hardcore kind of sounding song. We also have stuff like, was it? And that right there, everyone's like, it sounds like a Bad Religion riff.
Yeah, it does.
So we have a lot of stuff like that, and it just depends. It always depends on what I'm listening to when I'm writing, because I had a spell of 6 months where I was writing, I was listening to nothing but blues music, old blues, and so then I'm writing all these stuff that has more blues influenced riffs and stuff like that. We have a song called "Old Pain" on the record. And that's just using suspended fifths on the G and and B and stuff, and B minors and B7s and stuff, and then people are always like, what? And then I always throw these little wait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And people are always like, it's real bluesy. I'm like, yeah. So it just kind of depends. I'm a big Muddy Waters fan, so that'll always make its way in there. Stuff like that. But I listen to so much music, dude. It's
I'm the same way.
There's no set thing. Our whole drive up here, two things we listen to. We listen to 17 different covers of Toss a Coin to Your Witcher.
Oh, jeez.
From The Witcher.
Yeah.
And Bailey, just because we were joking, let's go through see all of them, and I was making a comment, I'll have to do a punk cover of it. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we were listening to for the most of the time, we're talking about nerd rock. If you guys remember the nerd rock boom in the 90s, Cake and Not a Surf and all those guys. Yeah. And so we're
autograph picture of Not a Surf right there.
Oh, that's cool. So we were talking about those guys and everything, and so it's like I mix it up all the time, man. Like I think my Apple Music, I think I have something like 6,000 songs on there right now or something. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it just depends on the mood I'm in. Like I listen to so much shit. I can sit here and wax like everything about hip hop, classic hip hop to punk to Delta blues to jazz to. I'm one of those people who you're like people will say listen to everything. I listen to everything but shitty metal and radio pop.
I listen to some shitty metal.
I'm sorry.
I would do anything.
That's why I said some.
Hey, I've listened to Stereotype I whenever Jesse was lead singer. I was waiting for like more of a response. I'm just fucking with Jesse. I love Jesse.
I like Jesse.
I love you,
He's
Jesse.
good,
It's a joke. It was a joke.
There goes the emails.
He's like, what does that mean? I'm gonna make a solo about it.
Is Dan still their bass player?
I think so.
Okay, I played with Dan many years ago.
Yeah, they have a new singer, and the new stuff sounds really good. Like Jesse sent me one of the demos. I really liked it.
I haven't heard any of the new stuff yet.
I'm not a big fan of the kind of music they play. Like honestly, and he knows that. But I really liked the new song he sent me. I was very impressed. It's one of the things. Like I feel like that definitely was something they needed. Was that someone to really bring that vocal? And I think I think also part of it is Jesse's a good player, but I think that he's distracted playing, so his vocals are going to take a hit.
That's what I said too. Yeah, he needs to do one or the other.
Yeah. But
especially with the kind of music they're doing.
I mean, in my opinion, in this area, like if I was to do like a ranking in the areas, the Trades would be the best band in Akron right now. Avondale's would be the best band in probably like my neck of the woods, the Ashtabula Beulah area.
Yeah.
Three Vultures would be this area. And probably Blacklister maybe from Cleveland, I guess. So yeah, I mean like that'd be like my rankings if I were going to do something. Just because I go out to a lot of shows. I'm one of those weird people that actually go to shows that I'm not playing. Yeah.
That's rare.
I know. It's that whole like growing up and going to shows in the 90s. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
It's weird when I was booking shows at Chippers, I noticed every once in a while we'd get a show where you just see a ton of guys that weren't playing that would show up. But then there'd be like a 2 or 3 month period where none of them would show up. But it's just that one show, like they would all come out.
It's part of being in a scene, and people forget that part of being in the scene is supporting.
Supporting, yeah.
So I mean, support local music, but I'm not going to go to your show. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you a share on Facebook. That's all I'm about to do today.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like every show that I've promoted up here has been super successful, and I've been to a lot of shows that people have promoted that have been bad. And then I get asked questions of like, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, I didn't post it all on Facebook. I named the event on Facebook because it's sort of just a thing. And then I printed out 1,000 flyers, and I drove around and I passed out flyers, and I flyered parking lots, and I went to colleges and dropped.
It's unheard of these days, man.
I went to record stores, and I did all this stuff, and it took me 4 or 5 hours in one afternoon, but I did it for the show, and now there's 200 people here, and then there people are like, oh, but old school marketing doesn't work anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's why there's 5 people here, and they're all in my band watching your band.
You want to do one more song?
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more. I got to take a piss while you're doing that, though. All right.
I think what song I do.
I've had to pee for like 5 minutes.
Not behind the desk.
I could, I could hear it while I'm up there, so it's not like I'm missing out on the song. But I do have to go take a piss while he's doing this.
Don't leave me alone. All right, I'll do Is This Punk. So. Actually, I'm going to tune my guitar first because it sounds out too. I know.
So, did you do all the artwork on your CD cover and in the book?
Yes.
Because I like how the book is. How you have it looks like there's lyrics to the songs that are in here.
Yep.
And it's all different fonts. Like, did you type some and then handwrite some of them?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do to make money is graphic design and comic books. So, I mean, I do Rick and Morty covers right now, so that's the thing.
Oh, I love Rick and Morty. You son of a bitch, I'm in.
supposed to be. Supposed to be.
Nice.
Oh man, I leave the room for a fucking minute, and you're trying to conduct your own interview over there, Ed.
I was. He was tuning this to his for a long time.
Yeah.
So you gotta do it.
So
keep moving.
Yeah, but
but I didn't hear the answer to that question. Did you design all that artwork yourself?
I do all the art.
That's awesome.
Everything you see, our stickers, T-shirts, buttons, all the flyers. I do like every fucking person around here is like all the good flyers in the area. I do those.
Yeah.
Basically, like I was thinking the other day about posting it because I've done since I moved up here, dude. I've probably done like 500 flyers. I feel like.
Oh shit.
Probably. Yeah. Like.
Do you do all that like by hand?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, most of it. I mean, there's graphic design involved, but yeah, for the most part,
You do like the computer stuff where you have like the pen and you draw on the computer. I forget what all that's called.
I have a Cintiq, which is it's a digitizer.
Yeah.
I have one of those, and then I have an iPad Pro with a pencil, and then I do a lot of like mixed media stuff basically. So what I'll do is I'll usually sketch something on pencil and paper, and then I get an idea there, and then I'll scan it, and then sometimes I'm lazy, I'll take a picture or whatever, but
yeah.
I'll drop it in there, and then I'll use that to draw, like redraw it all, but it's all still drawing, like it's not really anything.
I'm
like
old school. I use Photoshop.
Some people, I still use Photoshop.
Yeah.
I mean, I use Photoshop to make all that, with the exception of the actual art. I mean, your text and your all the other craziness. Yeah, I do all that. But yeah, like I don't know. Like Adam can tell you. Like I'm probably one of the my resume has fucked me since we moved because everyone thinks that I'm either I guess trolling them or that maybe I'm too expensive because I've worked on so many things, dude. Like I mean, we're talking from Transformers to G.I. Joe to Rick and Morty to so many things, dude. Like, I did posters for the Star Trek Into the Darkness movie. I did posters for World War Z.
Holy shit.
I've done...
That's an impressive resume, man.
Yeah, it is.
I created Overwatch, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah, kind of. The video game that everyone loves so much.
Yeah.
That I don't get any money for.
I mean, the stuff that you've done, like, is there big money involved in any of that? Because I don't know to what capacity.
So
you
here's the
on
thing.
this stuff.
Here's a funny thing. I don't know if you've ever heard this being asked either, Adam. But here's the thing. If I did not have 4 teenagers, I'd be a very wealthy man.
Does it?
Because I've made a lot of money in comics and in design and art. I've made a lot of money. I do T-shirts currently for a bunch of bands. Some of the bands we've talked about.
Yeah.
I've done their shirts and stuff. It's very lucrative if I didn't have these trash-mouthed children that just consume like Galactus or something. Like they're just all consuming. It's like a vacuum cleaner hits. Like I think it's funny too because I'm like raising them in a certain way. They're like maybe I'll make them thrifty, and they'll be like really cool with that.
Yeah.
And they are in some aspects. I mean, they love going to thrift shops, but then somehow they still manage to spend like $300 at a thrift shop. I don't know how they do it.
I got 5 kids myself, so I know how it is, man. I love them dearly, but my God, are they fucking expensive?
Yeah, my kids are so expensive, and so if I didn't have the children, I probably would be in a much more financially stable position. But yeah, I mean, it's my cross to bear, I guess. I don't know. Like I love my kids. It's funny. I was this guy that never wanted children, and then when my ex-wife ran off, I kind of was just like, well, kind of got kids.
Man.
So I've
didn't want kids, but here I am.
But I've got the best wife in the world now, and I got the best kids in the world. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want kids either. I had my first one. I'm like, this is cool. I want to do this again. And here I am with all these fucking kids.
I've got cats and dogs now. I'm fine with that. Look, they're getting there, man. Like my son will be 18 in 2 years, and then he'll live in my basement forever. But still, at that point, I can hit him and it'll be legal. But that was a joke. It was a joke. I don't want to hit him. Sometimes I want to hit him.
Yeah, I say it. I had the cutest little
Everybody wants to
brothers.
hit their kids every once in a while.
No, I mean, yeah. But that's it. I mean, like really, like for us right now. Sorry, changing topics, but for us,
Now this is about the music, right?
Yeah. Let's say, like, coming back to that real quick, because I know you guys wanted to ask a couple questions about comics, but I'm going to have to go shortly.
No, you're good, man.
So,
we've been going at it for over an hour.
Yeah.
Man.
So
I was actually going to have you drop some plugs and then wrap things up.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, did you want to ask any comic questions first? Because
I'm not a comic guy. I don't.
What's the most recent comic you've been working on? Is it original or you work for someone else?
There you go. That's a valid question.
Sort of a mix. So I've been doing Rick and Morty covers on and off for like the last year.
What is a Rick and Morty cover? What would that be?
I just covered their comic.
So basically, like you take the Rick and Morty assets, you draw them as they draw them, but you make your own story to go along with it.
No. As in, like, Ani, the company that Adult Swim works with to release their comic books, paid me money to then go, hey, we want Rick and Morty doing this on the cover, and then I draw that.
Okay, so you're just doing cover art. You're not doing...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've done...
I thought you meant, like, cover like how you cover songs.
No.
That's what threw me off.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah...
It confused me. Like, how do you cover
I thought that's where you went.
song?
I'm like, you probably think I'm covering, like... Oh,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the terminology's
We're not comic guys here.
Yeah, the comic terminology crosses over. But yeah, so I do the covers for that. I've done a few of those over the last last year. And then on my own, I've got a story called Wrong Way, an American punk story, which is a slice of life book. It was my first time I ever tried to do one of those, and it's done really well. A bunch of awards, really cool stuff. And I released the 3rd issue of that last year, and I'm thinking 3 more issues, and I'll be done with it completely. And then I'm working on. Funny, they're not a comic show, but they're going to get an exclusive. Me and the guy that I co-created the Overwatch property stuff with that we sold to Blizzard. We are working on releasing all of our original run of that story under a different name that basically will be what Overwatch would have been if we had not sold it to Blizzard. So we're going to release that this year. We've got most of it done. It's just getting colored now. And then outside of that, the last... So 2017 was a weird year for me. I was working at DC Comics, and I decided After 1,001 revision requests and annoyances while I was working on Green Lantern, that I was exhausted. And so we're at a con, and I'm on a panel, which is much like a podcast, but in a room with people. And I looked over at my editor at one point. Someone fielded a question to me about Green Lantern, and I go, I think I quit. And they were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely done. Okay, and I got up and I walked out. And so one of the news websites the next day was like, Martin Dunn completely embraces punk rock like aesthetic or something, because I had just launched Punk House Press, which was my new imprint that I was doing like music and comics and stuff through. And so I quit DC, and I was burnt out. A friend of mine had just died, so that was rough. And so he was like a buffer for me. Like I was sending him ideas, art, things I was working on. Like, hey, what do you think of this? And he died really suddenly. We didn't expect. He was 28, and it threw me off. And so I started Komodo Bombs, my other band, and it was sort of just a way to, I don't know, just therapy in a way.
Yeah.
I hadn't played music in 10 years at that point, so I just wanted to do something. So I started playing again, and we put together this band, and my wife sang, and I played guitar, and my best friend played bass, and his wife played drums, and she never played drums in her life, but we made it work, and it was fun. We did EP and stuff, and so I basically from that point on, I was kind of like, I had this I have all these little nicknames in comics, but I was one of the things they kept giving me was the hardest working man in independent comics, the hardest working man in comics, all these things. And the reason that was I was working 12 plus hours a day, sometimes way more, 18 hours, writing, drawing, inking, coloring, lettering, pre-press, everything you can imagine, for like 30 different books.
Oh, wow.
So when you have an output of that much, a lot of my fan base didn't realize that I had basically stopped cold, just hadn't done shit for almost a year, because I had just so much backlog that was just coming out. So then sometime around summer, well, it was a little bit before summer last year, I did MegaCon, which was the first major convention I had done since 2017. And I went to that one, and it was like everyone was just like blown away, where have you been, whatever, and I hadn't had nothing new come out in like a year. And we sold out all my stock that weekend because obviously everyone was excited to see me come back or whatever, but I wasn't really back. I haven't really decided when I'm ready to go back full time because I was exhausted with comics. Comics was a very exhausting job. So, I know it's like a long form version of the answer, but trying to give you context so that makes sense. Like, I went from literally producing and releasing 50 books a year to like 3. So the most recent stuff I've been working on has basically been, like I said, mostly I guess Rick and Morty, I guess, and then the stuff that we're re-releasing and everything. I've been doing that now, but yeah.
So did they try to contact you to work on Overwatch 2?
No.
That's crazy, because the way they said they're going to have a story and do all that, you'd think they'd have the original people, but like, hey, make us a story, what do you think?
You just came up with the concept and then sold it to them, right?
So, it's a little more complicated than all that. So,
Sorry, you can't really comment, I'm sure there's probably
Well, I mean, it's been long enough now that that's been lifted, but basically what happened, I'll try to make this as fast as possible. We had created Overwatch as a Kickstarter project, got it fully funded, ready to go. We're going to release it independently. We did the first issue, got it out there. People loved it. It was cool. And then I think it was like right after that, we got someone had tagged me on Facebook that Overwatch was coming out. Blizzard's Overwatch video game. And we were like, oh, that's cool, whatever. I didn't look at it. I didn't really pay attention to it. And then, fast forward a couple months, I get an email from their legal department saying that they want to talk because we own the copyrights, all this stuff to Overwatch, and we have character similarities. And so we got a lawyer who sort of led us down the wrong path, and at the end of it all, we got a very low sum. I don't want to necessarily say how much, but we'll put it this way: it was under 20 grand.
Oh wow!
And they turned around and made I think it was $6 billion off that damn game.
Yeah, so they monetized with loot boxes and sales, and merchandise.
We got 5 issues of the comic series they did. They put our names in it, but we didn't do anything. They didn't ask us for any help. They didn't hire us to do anything. It was pretty big spit in the face. So I have a really, really weird, bitter, salty spot for Overwatch. They gave me a free copy of the game, and they gave me
consolation prize.
Yeah,
they gave me an unlimited, it was like forever subscription, whatever, to World of Warcraft. That's about it. That's what we got. That and some money. And so, they're never gonna call us for that.
Yeah. Well, what do you got coming up? You did plug a show you got coming up. You got anything else?
January 25th, we've got it's us, AM Gunter. At B-Side in Ashtabula.
Is that in the Harbor area?
Yeah, no, it's on Main Street.
Main Street, okay.
So, it's a record shop down there. We're doing an acoustic gig down there. And then it's going to be opened by Gen Z and the Losers and Ghost Boy.
Okay.
And then we're doing, after that, we're kind of open. We're trying to find a new drummer right now. And then we've got some stuff planned for the summer. But outside of that, there's not a whole lot. Outside of just releasing new music and promoting the record and stuff. I mean, we'll have more stuff coming out soon. I can get you that information.
All right.
But at the moment, we just haven't been taking any bookings because of
the drummer situation.
Situation. So, it's just we had some shows booked that we had to cancel because of the drummer situation, because it was sort of out of nowhere. And obviously, we're not upset with Chris. He was more upset than we were, I think, just because of his school situation.
Yeah.
Focus on that. So
people can stay up to date on social media, right?
So you can find us lessthanexpected.com or punkhouse.net. You can find information on the Less Than Expected Facebook page. We're on Instagram, Less Than Expected Band. We're on the YouTube. If you look for us, I don't know. We don't have like a YouTube name yet. I don't think we have enough followers on there yet. And I think that's all we have right now.
All right.
We don't have any Twitter or anything. I think that's it.
All right. That's how you find them.
And then obviously the record's on everything, and you can buy the record too, physical copies. So
awesome, man. So you're on like Spotify, iHeart, all that shit.
Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, iTunes, Apple, YouTube,
all over the place.
Everywhere that they have music.
Awesome.
All the different music venues, and then if you want physical copies of the record, you can order them directly from us, or you can go to Andy at B-Side, or hit up record shops.
Or just don't be a cuck and go to the fucking show.
Or go to a show and buy it. And
meet these guys. They're cool dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show, man. I had a great talk, man.
Fun.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back in a little bit. Stay tuned.